I am so grateful that our next guest is joining us, and for me, joining us again because she was just a guest speaker, a resident expert for our mastermind. And I love that she poured into all of us during the mastermind, during the Confident You mastermind, and specifically because her area of expertise is something that we all sometimes take for granted, but it's incredibly important as entrepreneurs. Today, I have Jenny Belanger, who is the CEO and creative director of Jenny B Designs, a website design studio. And she helps entrepreneurs and small businesses build websites that communicate and connect with visitors and attract their ideal clients. We are going to unpack so many really fun things that I love talking and hearing her talk about when she came to our mastermind. But also, I want to share with you that she also is the host of the Designs Made website Design Made Simple podcast. So there's a lot of ways in which you can connect with Jenny, but join us for this conversation now. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast and inviting me to chat with your mastermind.
How can I not have you in the podcast? First of all, you are amazing. And that's really how I got to know you and invited you to the mastermind because we talked about you being on my podcast. And yeah, you're probably one of the most popular teachers that we've had this year. So kudos to you because people keep talking about you, which is great.
Awesome. I had so much fun. Your audience was so engaged and they just wanted to learn. And that's my passion, helping people kind of shine online with their websites.
Yeah, the women that have joined the mastermind, and this is one of my favorite things. They really love what they do. They want to help others, but more importantly, we've created a very tight knit community in which we are always supporting one another and making sure that we come alongside and lift them up. So, this is a really great place to be. But, Jenny, websites, that's a loaded statement, I think, sometimes when I think about it. When did you start, or how did you start being this expert on websites?
Websites. So I'm going to tell you, I started designing websites 20 plus years ago. Back in the day,
Mhm.
I was working for a nonprofit. And when you work for a nonprofit, you have to wear lots of different hats. You
Many
do
hats.
all the things.
Yeah.
And so I was a marketing department of one, and that's where I learned to design websites, WordPress actually,
Hmm.
back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Just kind of fumbled around, started a blog, which was kind of new
Ooh.
back then too.
Hmm.
And I just really, really loved that whole component, that whole designing of a website and
Hmm.
understanding what your audience wants to learn when they come to that website.
Hmm.
And throughout my career in the nonprofit, that was kind of my passion working on the nonprofit's website. And then it started, I had other nonprofits asking me to help them. And I had a side business for quite a while, but when my son was born 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to go full in on the design business and
Ooh.
kind of leave the nonprofit world. I wanted
Hmm.
to be home with my
Yeah.
kids, and having your own business affords you that opportunity. And
Yeah.
that's when I fully went in with the web design business, and that's how I came to be doing what I do today.
Well, I love the story, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. Our businesses afford us the freedom and flexibility. And one of the biggest things that I see with individuals that are running a business is that they start a business to have freedom and flexibility, and yet they don't have it because they're not using the correct tools or resources to help them in their business. And having a website that works for you is very important. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why?
Yeah, you are so right, Julia. You having a website is that works for you is like having a super important employee. It's working for you, and your website actually works around the clock for you,
Yeah.
24/7. And you need to get it right. It is really the center of your
Mhm.
business that should be doing heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
And booking those consultation calls or making those sales
Mhm.
so that you
Yeah.
can be hands off in that process and be able to focus on delivering your product and whatever
Mhm.
else you need to do and let your website do that heavy lifting for you.
And websites have definitely evolved. I remember, and I started to tinker with it online, and I had a blog back in 2002, and it's totally different universe now. So I am curious, what are some of the most pronounced changes that you have seen in the industry as a web designer and supporting others in this journey?
I think the not only has the design evolved to be more
Hmm.
sophisticated, but I think more importantly, the websites have kind of changed, and it's all
Hmm.
about the user experience and
Yeah.
understanding what your visitor wants to read and what we want them to do and guiding them through the journey,
Hmm.
making sure that your website is easy to navigate, that you have calls to action that are driving
Hmm.
people to take the action that we want to take, and that it's just an enjoyable experience
Hmm.
because you want people who come to your website to really enjoy, get answers to their questions, stay longer, they dwell longer, Google gets happy, you
Yeah.
get all that SEO juice all around and take the desired action. So I think it's kind of evolved, and I think even every year we're just
Hmm.
making it more and more geared towards the visitor and the user experience.
Yeah, I think user experience is incredibly important. One of the things that for me, when I visit a website and it is a mess and I don't have functionality or it's hard to find things or it's cluttered, then I get really overwhelmed. And sometimes I don't even stay on the website. And I think, well, if this person has a cluttered website, what is their business going to be like? And it really kind of is not a good turnoff. And there's so many different things that comes to best practices when it comes to a website. I equate also the website being sort of like your invitation to a wedding, right? The invitation kind of gives you the tone. Is it going to be super fancy or is it going to be laid back? Is it going to be fun? Is it, whatever it might be? But I think that a website also gives you that inner glimpse at the person and the business.
Agreed. Our attention spans are so short. I think they used to say, a few years back, 3 seconds or
Mhm.
less, you got to
Yeah.
capture someone's attention. But more recently, like it's like a second or
A
less.
second.
You
Yeah.
really have to get it right, or else
Mhm.
people won't know they're in the right spot and they will leave. And
Yeah.
having that clarity is important.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I keep hearing from individuals, because this is a world in which choices to be public, to be out there in the world are plenty. Now, I've heard several people say, I don't need a website. I have social media, or I have, what is that thing called? The stand store or a link tree. So I'm curious on your take on that. And who should have a website and how are these things meeting the needs of an entrepreneur or a business having a website?
A website is your most important business asset. You
Hmm.
need one.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people who have social media. They're selling
Hmm.
in the DMs and they're doing really well. And I think that you can do that. You can make money
Hmm.
selling in the DMs, but you want to think about how much time are you spending answering people's questions and
Mm.
going back and forth?
Yeah.
When if you had a website that truly worked for you, you could be sending that person to your website.
Hmm.
The website is answering all their questions, giving them everything that they need to take that next step with you, and it takes you out of the equation. And for the people who are using Linktree or Stan Store, I love how you brought up Stan Store because that one I see all the time.
Yeah.
I understand the appeal of it, just
Hmm.
having a little app that you can go and send all your links, but it is essential to have a place on the internet that you own,
Hmm.
that you can write the narrative and have a place that you can send this traffic so that you can build up your credibility and your professionalism.
Hmm.
And like I said, it will do the heavy lifting. It will sell those things that you're selling or
Yeah.
book those consultation calls. And you
Hmm.
want you want that traffic. I mean, beyond just, increasing that SEO, when you send someone to a third-party app like a Linktree or a Stan
Hmm.
store, you're not doing anything to build your online reputation.
Hmm.
You need to have a domain to, when you have jennybdesigns.com, that would be my branded
Right.
domain. You need that. You want to send traffic there. So you are building your domain authority and looking forward to the future.
Yeah, such a good answer to that because I think that again, we have to put our stake in the ground and really have a place where we can curate things and we own the information. I think that for so many of us, we don't realize that when we're on social media, if social media goes away, right? Then we're kind of screwed. I don't know if you heard about the new changes on Instagram and how they're not going to show, you're not going to be able to follow the hashtags anymore, and you're not going to be able to show up in the Explorer page.
Mm.
And again, if someone is relying on social media, then it really takes away from them being able to communicate with individuals.
Yeah. And all that time that you were building up your social media profile, which could, disappear at any point in time, you could have been building up your online authority with your website. And it's an important piece of the puzzle for sure.
Yeah, I see that as a major piece, and one of the things that I know in the very beginning when I started my business, and I'm a little cringy because I was doing coaching part time before I went in full time, and I remember when I started my business and my husband was going to help me to build the website, I showed him what I first had, and then I proceeded to spend a lot of time in figuring out what kind of scripty font would be fun to have and what in my logo would look like. But what I was writing on the website was all about me, not about the people that were coming to the website. What are some of the other common mistakes that people make in the very beginning? And I would love for you to also unpack what are the other mistakes that then we level up to once we have been doing this for a while.
Sure. We talked about user experience
Hmm.
before, and it is all about that user experience. And that goes to your point about the copy. When
Hmm.
someone comes to your website, they're really thinking of themselves.
Yeah.
They want answers to their questions. Like you said, making sure that your copy is speaking to your ideal client
Hmm.
and it is addressing the challenges that they face and how you are the person to
Hmm.
solve the
Yeah.
problems that they have. And it's about capturing someone's attention, being really clear and specific. The most important part of your website, in my opinion, is that hero. When you
Hmm.
land on someone's homepage, you want to be abundantly clear who you are, how you help, and what you want the person to do. That there is a button, a call to action driving people to the next step. Those are the words that you want there,
Yeah.
alongside of an image that if you are the business owner, I really love to see the face behind the business. I
Hmm.
think that gives a whole new level and
Yeah.
an emotional connection. But if not, sharing the results that you give. I like to talk about the example of a dentist.
Hmm.
A lot of times you go to a dentist website and you'll see a person in the dentist chair. That's not actually the result. The result is a person out and about enjoying their life, smiling. You're changing
Yes.
their lives with like white teeth. So sharing, the results that you give someone when they land on your website,
Hmm.
you want it to be clear in a second or less.
Yeah.
I see that as a common mistake throughout, whether you're starting out or even if you've been in business for a
Hmm.
while. Getting that piece right is really, really important.
Yeah. You mentioned being the hero, that having the client be the hero of the story, and that comes from, I believe, the story brand framework. And I have hopefully done that on my website, and I've shifted to that. But again, I don't think I'm perfect, and it's something that needs to be always reevaluated, retooled, and worked on. And yet, um, it always seems like such a big task. How often should a website or the information within a website be really updated? And is there a place that we get to that is just done and perfect and ready to, have it into the world?
I wish it were a one and done, but it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
an evolving,
Hmm.
evolving thing that you have in your business. I love seeing business owners revisit their websites at least once a quarter.
Yeah.
And your website is built to achieve a goal.
Hmm.
For me, for an example, or for you, it's to book a consultation call, to have
Right.
that chat, to find out if
Hmm.
they're the right fit for your coaching or the right fit to work with me as a designer. But goals sometimes change, and maybe there's a different goal that you have coming up for the quarter. And that is a great time to really understand what your goals are and look at your website and make sure that the calls to action align with that goal, as well as the words. Think about your ideal client.
Mhm.
Has that changed at all? Have you narrowed or widened who you
Mhm.
want to work with? And looking at the words, the copy, and the imagery, and making sure that they're all aligned with your current goals. I
Yeah.
think once a quarter is great. If not, you know, twice a year, but at least I love doing an end of the year, kind of a looking towards the new year,
Mhm.
a refresh. That's a great place to start if you haven't been refreshing your
Well,
website.
that's not even on my radar. And now you're making me think maybe I do need to add that. And, I do check the site from time to time and I make edits here and there, but certainly, yeah, I think that it makes sense that as you're beginning the new year, and again, I plan my year, what am I going to be promoting? What am I doing? And I think that this is a really great time to put that into play as well when it comes to the
Yeah.
site. Tell me a little bit about for individuals like me, and this has been a question, and my husband is funny. We've gone back and forth on this one. When I started the business, I think the first domain that I got was Go Confidently Coaching. The company is Go Confidently Services, and yet I am the brand, right? Does it matter what the URL is? And I've been seeing trends with coaches and individuals getting, Susie Helpful Life Coach or Susie Helpful dot Coach, right? Are these domains easy? Should we be looking at maybe getting new domains that are more helpful, or tell me more about that? Because I'm really, that's a question that I've really been having for a while.
That's a great question. I don't think anyone's asked me that before. Your domain is your little place on the internet. And we talked earlier about domain authority.
Mhm.
That takes time and effort. And you've had your URL Go Competently Coaching for quite a while, and it's
Mhm.
been growing, your domain
Yeah.
authority. You've been sending a lot of traffic. If you were to switch your domain, what would happen is that you would lose all that SEO goodness that
Mm.
you worked
Yeah.
up all these years.
And I've been working at it.
Yes, you have. You have a wonderful website with all kinds of
Aw,
resources and
thank you.
marketing
That's
funnels
very
and
kind and high
strategies.
praise from you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy behind it. That's the most important piece. And I like to say, unless there's a really extra special need to switch the domain, to stick
Mhm.
with what you have. Now, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you can't have a domain like, Julie DeLucca-Collins coaching or something more personal that
Mhm.
forwards to your
Right.
GoCom, right? If you
Yeah.
want to have an outward facing domain like that. But I like to say if you've had a domain for a while, definitely keep it because you built up all that authority and it's really
Mhm.
important.
Well, I am happy to hear that, and that's exactly what we have done. We own a couple of different domains, and they just point. So we own Go Confidently Services, and it points to Go Confidently Coaching. So either way, you're typing it in the universe, you're gonna hopefully find me. And yeah, I think that domain authority is incredibly important, and domain authority is created in so many different ways. Now, one of the things that I didn't really understand is how Google is crawling your website and checking for the words and the things that, so when someone says, I need blah, 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 and you are the blah, blah, blah person, they find you.
Mhm.
Walk someone with, walk someone through how does that work? Because I think that this is the thing that we don't often talk about when it comes to website. We talk about look and feel and pictures and graphics, but we're not talking about behind the scenes.
Sure. What we're referring to is SEO, search engine optimization. And I think sometimes when people hear the word SEO, they get a little bit panicked and
Mhm.
overwhelmed
Yeah.
because, there's a lot of mystery behind there. And I really like to put it as simply as possible. It's just um, what we look for in a website as a person is the same
Mhm.
thing that Google looks for. They want easy to read websites, simple to design, a beautiful user experience. And when someone comes there, they get the answers that they want.
Mhm.
When it comes to optimizing your website for search, there are a few things that you can do. You can do a little bit of keyword research, just meaning you look on Google to find what other people might be searching for. For myself, it's probably website designer in Boston or something like
Mhm.
that. and then integrating those words on specific pages on your website.
Mm-hmm.
One piece that we sometimes forget about that I think is a super important piece of the puzzle is the Google Business Profile. And I
Mm.
feel like not everyone has one of these.
Oh, I'm so
If
glad
you
you brought that
don't,
up. That was my next question.
was it? Oh, you're so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It really is. That profile is what
Mm-hmm.
allows you to get on the map pack when
Mm-hmm.
someone looks for you in Google. When someone searches for website designer near me, I'm not going to show up in the top results
Mm-hmm.
unless I have a Google business profile. And what you want to do is make sure that your Google business profile has those same keywords that
Mm-hmm.
you have on your website. For me, making sure it's website designer on that profile and website designer on my website. And that the location, if you do have a physical location or share your location, matches exactly with your
Mm-hmm.
website. No abbreviations for suites or roads, like
Mm-hmm.
word for word. That kind of tells Google, oh, this is that
This is
business, and it
this is a
helps you.
matchup. Yeah. Yeah. That's so
Exactly.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a client that's actually been spending a lot of time. She hires someone to just go through her Google profile, but not her website.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, I would imagine again, and I'm a coach. I don't tell people what to do. I just, coach them in best practices and give them tools and ask the right questions. But for me, I think that it's not just about one or the other. It's about having them work in tandem because they do help each other. Now, for individuals that are mainly just focusing on their Google profile, but not really doing some of the work on the website, is that Google profile going to be helpful for them to be found outside of the website?
I think it's going to help them get found. But when someone gets found, where are we driving them to? We're driving them to our website.
Hmm.
And that's what you need to make sure is set up right to take care of them. The
Hmm.
same goes for social media. Like if you're out there spending all that time optimizing that
Hmm.
platform, the goal of that platform is to send people to your website. At the end of the day, your website is what's working for you. You
Hmm.
need to optimize all the pieces of the puzzle to work together, like you said.
Yeah. I think that that's exactly one of the things that and again, my Google profile, it's been this enigma for me. It's like, okay, I set it up and I get the analytics from Google, but I know that I'm probably in need of really, because I set it up when I first started the business. So certainly things have evolved and changed and keywords have changed as well. Now, I will say that, one of the things that you said, right? Driving people to the website. When I go to Google and I searching for somebody's business and it pops up in the little search and they don't have a website, it annoys me because I want to know more about this business. And it's like, oh, forget it. I'm not choosing them because I can't, preview what they have and if are they the right fit for me. And I think that that's the mentality too that we have to understand. If the things that we use or do as consumers are pretty much similar behavior to our ideal clients, and it's going to be very key to be able to know that.
Yeah, I do the same thing. If they don't have a website, I'm like, what? And then if they don't have any testimonials as well, because that's
Mm.
also an important piece of the puzzle, getting those testimonials on your Google business profile.
Mhm.
And then you can always use those and repurpose them for your website. I want to say like another thing about that profile because you hit the nail on the head. A lot of us set it up and then we don't go back to revisit
Mhm.
it. And it's important to revisit that. But it's also helpful to post on the Google business profile as well.
Ooh, I didn't know
I
we could do
have,
that. See, I'm learning something
yeah,
new. Okay.
every time you do, it just kind of, pings Google, this business is still working and it will send you more traffic. And what I have set up is I do a lot of posts on social media sharing about the podcast. And I
Hmm.
just repurpose those. I actually have
Nice.
a Zap set up on the back end,
Okay.
taking it to a
Yes.
new level. But you could just grab that post and pop it in, even once a month, but just
Mm.
kind of telling Google this is what's going on and refreshing that profile. It helps kind of
Okay.
make things work well.
Oh, I'm going to take a note of that because I love setting up my little zaps in the background and for tell people what a zap is in case they don't know.
Sure. Zap refers to Zapier. It's a piece of
Yep.
software that connects two pieces of software that don't talk.
Hmm.
And I have one set up that every time I post, I think on my Facebook business profile, it just
Hmm.
takes that post and puts it on my Google business
Yeah.
profile. There's nothing that I need to do. It just happens
It's
behind the
so
scenes.
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I have so many zaps that I had to upgrade to like the next level after a
Yeah,
while.
me
I'm like,
too.
okay, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Now you brought something interesting, posting in our social media profile, posting in Google, and then our website or posting in Facebook, right? And then having the information go to the Google profile. Now, there is something that I've had clients ask me about, and I typically send them to someone like you because I still don't have full understanding and I'd love to learn a little bit. And I know how it works, I guess, in the background. And that's the Facebook pixel, right? I understand the concept. You put the Facebook pixel, which is the number that Facebook gives you, you add it to your website so that if people come to your to your website, then you start to show up or vice versa. Explain it more to me because I think I don't have it correctly.
I think you get the gist.
I got the gist. Okay, good.
And this is something that people who work with ads, so you
Hmm.
would work with someone who would do your ads for you. It's a lot about retargeting and
Hmm.
finding specific audiences.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's adding a little piece of code so that you can
Hmm.
track who comes to your website. And then if you do advertisements on Facebook, that you can retarget the people who came to
Hmm.
your website with your offer.
Yeah.
Or you can also create an audience. If you understand who's coming to your website, you can
Hmm.
create an audience of similar people like that on
Hmm.
Facebook. So it helps if you are doing ads over there to find the right people. But it's just
Mm.
about placing a little bit of code into your website, just like you would
Yeah.
place a Google Analytics code.
Ooh, so good. So good. Now, I made a mistake, or at least I think it was a mistake in the very beginning, because again, you're kind of just starting out and you're trying to get the best tools. And of course, you want to invest what you can, not, extraordinary amount of money. We can't, invest the same money that someone that's been in the business, for 10 years can. So, I launched my website and I launched it on Wix and it's still on Wix. I don't have a problem with Wix. It's easy for me to do, but there was a period in which we actually moved from Wix to, and it is a product that it has a lot of functionality all in one. You can do a lot of you can post from social media, and I think I can do that from Wix anyway, but it creates funnels and it's a funnel um, website builder.
Mhm.
And after I would say maybe 6 months, I thought, wait a minute, why am I paying $100 a month for this? It has a lot of functionality that I don't use. I mean, it would be nice if I used it, but I'm not using it. And on top of that, I don't even, it takes me forever to be able to update anything on my website. I need to just change maybe a word or something. And then it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? So, what's your opinion on that? Because there's a lot of places where people can host their website. There's obviously, like you mentioned, WordPress, and that's the industry standard. And then you have plug and play or things that are just drop and play, like Wix, Shopify. I guess Square would be another one. One of my clients actually just moved to having a website on Show It, and there's a lot of different things coming up. What should we be looking at when we are getting ready to really invest in having our little piece of real estate in the internet? Where should we host it? And what are
Mm.
practices that are going to serve us for in the long run?
Sure. I I design on WordPress. That
Hmm.
is my chosen platform.
Hmm.
I love the ease of using a page builder called Elementor, which
Hmm.
allows me to build beautiful and sometimes it's sophisticated designs,
Hmm.
but it allows the end user, my clients, to be able to update their website themselves.
Hmm.
I think you should choose the platform that you can use the best
Yeah.
as the business owner. You
Yeah.
need to be able to make updates yourself and to use it because we talked about it
Yeah.
earlier. You need to keep everything updated. If someone is starting out and they're wanting to DIY their own website, I always recommend either Squarespace
Hmm.
because they have some really easy templates.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of rolled up into one. You don't have to worry
Hmm.
about hosting, it's one fee. Or I also think Show It is a wonderful
Hmm.
option for maybe the brand that wants a little bit more of a high style look and feel. There are some really great templates. Elizabeth McCravey is one that
Hmm.
has strategic templates that are also very beautiful and that you can fit it to
Yeah.
your brand. And it's easy, point and click.
Yeah, very good. And speaking of branding, one of the things that is very consistent for you and your website is your color palette. And I think that
Mhm.
there is a lot of work and thought that should be put into choosing that color palette. And it's not necessarily just this is the color I choose for my logo. How do we go about choosing that color palette, and what are some of the best practices also when it comes to implementing that in the website?
Yeah, you got it right. Your brand is the foundation of your
Hmm.
website. And by brand, I mean your colors, your fonts,
Hmm.
your logo. That is what is the basis of your website. I find a lot of times when we're starting out, we design our own logo, and there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. And we pick some colors that we
Yeah.
really like.
Yep, that
But
was me.
yeah, as you get into business a little bit deeper, there comes a time when you want to really invest in your branding
Hmm.
and understand who your ideal clients are, who you want to attract, but
Hmm.
also keeping a bit of yourself because I really believe, you want to be able to have fun with your website and you want it to represent you and your personality.
Hmm.
And that's really the time to relook at your branding and pick a color palette that really aligns with your clients and yourself.
Hmm.
I love a tool. It's called coolors.co,
Ooh, okay.
COLLOR.co. And that's a great place to look at some trending color palettes and to get some ideas of what complements each other. And you want to pick colors, like I said, that represent you, but also your ideal client, and pair that with some fonts
Hmm.
that do the same. And
Yeah.
I love, you mentioned a script font. I love a good
Hmm.
script font as an accent. I also
Yeah.
love a really bold, modern font, but
Hmm.
bringing something out of the ordinary into your website to just have a little bit of accent, it will make the website more like you, and it will attract that ideal client that you really want to work with. So
Yeah, and
invest in your
yeah, no,
branding
go
is
ahead. Go
important.
ahead.
No, yeah.
I was going to say, your font, where you have the Jenny B designs, I like that font because it's not scripty. It stands out. It calls me, and it really is totally on brand with what you're doing. So I think that that's very well chosen for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I really, my aesthetic is more of a calming and relaxed and,
Hmm.
modern feel to it. And you want to just think, what do you want to give out into the world? And your website should really reflect that.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, there's other tools, obviously, that we use in our business in addition to the website. There's email marketing, and there's also our client management system and marketing, when it maybe social media, things that help us post to social media. What are we missing that maybe we're not using?
Those are all really important. The top two for me would be your website platform and your email marketing, because I
Okay.
truly believe that you need to have an email list to continue the conversation with someone. Because when they come to your website, you have a high ticket item, most likely they're not ready to buy. So you
Okay.
want to make sure that you can continue that conversation and grow your email list. So those are the top two
Hmm.
that I would say are important for any business owner out there.
Hmm. And as far as when we move into other pages, one of the things that I know I made a mistake in the very beginning is I had a gazillion things on my menu. I don't like it when I go to somebody else's page and they have a gazillion things on their menu. What is the best practice with how many menu items should be on top? And I actually learned something from you when you came to the mastermind. So I'd love for you to also, I'm sure you're going to share it. So go ahead.
Sure. I love as few items as possible. Like
Mhm.
nothing makes me more exciting than seeing two options, but I like to say five or less.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of service providers. So typically it would be the services,
Mhm.
about, contact, and then a button. Whatever your main call to action is for your website, you
Mhm.
want a button on the upper right-hand corner.
Right.
When someone comes to your website, you want to clear, what does this person want me to do?
Mhm.
And then if you have like a podcast like you do or a blog, you would put that in your navigation under resources.
Mhm.
You want to make sure that you're utilizing drop downs.
Yep.
Same with services. If you have two different services, Don't just add those to the navigation because that's how we end up with the navigation just goes across and across.
Oh, I know, I know.
Yeah. You want to bucket it and make it streamlined. The fewer options, the most important. And if you have home
Hmm.
as an option on your website, and your website is created recently, most likely, probably
Hmm.
99% of the time, if you click the logo, it's going to take you home. So
Mm.
make sure that if you have
Yeah,
home listed, remove it. And
yeah.
one fewer item makes everything more prominent that's left.
I'm so glad you said that. And actually, that's one of the edits that I needed to make. And I didn't do it because I went in and I realized that in my drop down in my home, there is an about page. And then there's also an about in the menu, and it's a complete different page. So now I'm thinking, okay, which one do I want to keep?
Oh,
Because I
look at
know
your
that,
statistics.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So then I do have to do a data driven decision, I guess.
Yes. And the about page, no one wants to hear this, but the about page is typically the most visited page on your website.
Mhm. And
It's
it's not about
important to
you,
have
by the
that.
way.
No, it's about how you are the best fit to solve the problems that this
Mhm.
person has. But it's an important page on your website.
Yeah. I heard a framework and I haven't been able to find it or figure out where I heard it, but I remember it walked through the questions that we should be answering about us on the about page that walks through so people can know what we do. What would you recommend we put in there that maybe I'm going to go audit mine and make sure it's there?
I love a short backstory that
Hmm.
lets people know where your background comes from and why you're the best person to solve their
Mm,
problems, like
yeah,
my story, where I
yeah,
come
I love
from.
that.
And then, I mean, you don't need to get into where you graduated from and
Right,
show
right.
any credentials like that, but you want to make it about them. And then
Hmm.
I love to see some fun facts or
Hmm.
something that makes people be able to relate to you on an emotional
Ooh, I love
level and
that.
make that connection, as
I
well
think I
as an image.
removed those from my website. I'm going to have to go back and see if I need to add them because I remember that was the first thing in my first website that I did have. I had a lot of fun facts about me. And yeah,
Yeah, I
so
can't tell you how many times I'll get on a consultation call. I think somewhere it says I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like people will bring that up on the call. They
yeah,
obviously read that
they
page, and
obviously
it's
read
like it
it.
it forms that connection. I think it's
Mhm.
a lovely piece to have.
Yeah. You and I, when we were in the mastermind, we talked about services and having pricing on their website. And that's certainly something that I'm moving to add because I got the advice that I shouldn't have it on my website, but I really felt disingenuous by not having it. What are your thoughts?
Today more than ever, it's so
Hmm.
important to be transparent, like
Yeah.
especially with like everything is like AI. You
Hmm.
want to be transparent, you want to value people's time.
Hmm.
And when I go to a website and it doesn't have pricing, I actually think it's too big of an investment and I get worried and I don't reach out and contact
Hmm.
someone. I think it's important to have pricing, even if it's just a starting at or a typical range,
Hmm.
to give people an idea of what that investment is like before they get on a call with you. Because there's nothing worse than having the investment part of the conversation come up and that person feel uncomfortable because it's
Hmm.
not what they were looking for. And
Yeah.
then we've just wasted everyone's time.
Mm.
It's best to be transparent and just,
Yeah.
share what you share. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, it's happened to me, right? I go in and I'm like, "Ooh, I really want to work with this person," but there's no transparency in the prices. And yeah, our brain is going to go to saying it's $1 million, but it might be within our reach and it might be something that we're able to work out as far as payments, et cetera. And all of
Mhm.
that is helpful in making the decision because ultimately, what is setting you apart from the competition? Why, give someone a reason to choose you, and having the information will help.
Hmm. And sometimes people gatekeep it as well. They make you
Mhm.
fill out your name and
Oh, yeah.
email to get the pricing guide.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just another step. People aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
You need to be transparent and just be trustworthy.
Yeah, simple is best. And
Yeah.
again, the more steps that people have to go through, the more impediments you're putting in front of someone to be able to work with you. Yeah,
Mhm.
see, these are some of the definite changes that I'm making on the side. And of course, the biggest mess that we have when it comes to website is the podcast website because we need to evolve that. We've combined the podcast and the podcasting services that we offer, right? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I did that right. Am I doing the right thing? And yeah, so it was best to not do anything because we don't know what we're doing. So isn't that the case that happens to everybody?
Yeah. Yeah. Once you understand what that goal is, then everything will fall into place with the site.
That's right.
Yeah.
This has been incredibly helpful. I know that a lot of the questions that I asked today might have been follow-ups or similar questions to what we talked about when you came to visit the Confident You Mastermind. And again, that's going to be opening up for individuals who are looking for a supportive place, and they can come and have individuals like Jenny teach us and be available. Um, Now, what are things that maybe we didn't talk about, Jenny, that maybe are important for people to really know about what you do and how people can really utilize this sales force that is your website?
I think that as long as you understand the goal of your website and you have calls to action that support that goal and you're bringing out your personality, speaking to your ideal client, that you will have a website that will work for you. One small tip I always share, you can do it in 5 minutes, is look at your contact page.
Hmm.
And if there isn't an image of you, add an image of you looking
Okay.
at that person because that's where the real magic is happening. That's where we're driving everyone to. Are they going to reach out? Are they going to fill out that form or
Mhm.
have a call with you? Have a photo, build that emotional
Mhm.
connection and see what happens with your conversions, once you make that change.
Well, I don't have a contact page, so I guess I better put one on. Oh,
Yes.
maybe I do and it's hidden. I got to go and look. So, this has been super, super helpful. Again, there's so many different things that we didn't unpack because this is a wealth of things that we need to know. And if you are listening to this and you're feeling like, oh my God, I could never do this, this is a lot. You don't have to do it alone, my friends. You have individuals who are the experts. And you know what I say, do what you do best, delegate the rest. Because when you have a beautiful website, you're going to feel confidently about showing up in all corners of the universe. But also, more importantly, the people that need you will be able to figure out that you are the right fit for them. So, Jenny, thank you again for being here. Thank you, for your wisdom. I want to encourage listeners to go and find you. You have a podcast that is terrific. Tell us where people can find you online.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Julie. This has been such a great conversation. You've asked so many in-depth questions. I love it. You can find me in your podcast player since we're there right
Mhm.
now. The
Yep.
website Design Made Simple podcast. I love sharing ways that you can uplevel your website yourself. And my website is jennybdesigns.com. And I have lots of resources, videos, blogs, and I also have a guide going into 2025 for
Okay.
ways that you can make some improvements to your website as you go into the new year
Mhm.
so that you can go into 2025 more confidently that your website will do all the hard work for you. So that's right on my
Amazing.
homepage on my website.
Well, I'm going to have to go get that because I definitely need it. Because now you taught me that I need to really evaluate it before I start the new year. So super helpful. Thank you, Jenny. And my friends, Jenny is wonderful. Go and give her some social media currency. More importantly, go take advantage of the wonderful resources that she has. And she would love to hear from you. Check out her podcast and let her know that you found her through Casa de Confidence. So until next time, Jenny, I am so grateful for your time again. And for you, my friends, share this episode with that business bestie that makes sure needs to have this information. And you can also listen to this podcast again because if you're in the middle of multitasking, there's going to be things that you need to hear that maybe you need to take some notes so that you can put actionable steps into practice. Until next time, thank you, my friends. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.